So good morning or good afternoon, everybody, depending on where you're dialing in from the world today. My name's Catherine Roots. As Tiffany said, I'm part of the Security Business Partner Development team based here in Europe. For those of you that I already know, thank you for joining us today. For those of you that I don't know, I'm pretty sure we can become best friends without ever meeting based on the amount of data that's probably out in the public domain about all of us. In this presentation, we're going to set the scene for the rest of the day on Microsoft's privacy and data governance solutions, addressing the questions, why are customers interested in privacy and data governance, and how you as a partner can play a role in that, with the Microsoft solutions of Privacy Manager and Azure Purview, both of which are in public preview at present, which means the story is still evolving. The opportunity within data governance and privacy starts with awareness, making sure the customer understands what is going on in his organisation and what they need to do to stay that trusted partner to their customers. Are your customers aware, and can they manage these areas on their own? In most cases, the answer is no, which is why they need a partner, someone to help them which challenges they are facing, which privacy regimes apply to them, or what good looks like for data governance. And once companies have this awareness, there is further opportunities in how you as a partner can provide knowledge and tools from the Microsoft suite. I'd like to start by asking you to share your view on the 4 questions. We're going to tell you today what we think, but we'd really like to know what you think. So what does privacy mean to you? What do you believe is your opportunity around privacy? What does data governance mean to you? And what do you believe is the opportunity around data governance? If you could please put any feedback in the chat. As I'm speaking, I can't see the chat, but as everything cloud is founded on trust, I'm really going to trust that somebody is writing something so we can discuss it in the Q&A later today. You already have security practices. You're most likely already familiar with our compliance story as it is today. What we're looking to do is to show you how you can bridge the gap between being reactive to more proactive. And where you can be proactive to your customers is where you're adding even more value. Also, one of the questions we get asked most frequently by our business partner community is how can we engage closer with the Microsoft security team, both from a technical and a sales perspective. And these areas you're going to hear today are absolutely focused for them in FY22, and they will be looking to our partner community to help them engage in client conversations. Privacy Manager is Microsoft's first privacy solution and is part of the Microsoft 365 portfolio. Privacy Manager is 2 things. On the one hand, making sure you understand what the privacy challenges within your organisation are, by identifying common scenarios relating to personal information, such as oversharing or cross-border transfers. And on the other hand, organisations have to comply to data subject requests, and this is also where Privacy Manager can help. Key to what we are doing is treating privacy as a human right, as the quote from Satya Nadella says, and organisations that make privacy central to their business operations will earn the trust of their customers and be successful in the long run. It's a fact of life that personal and private data is everywhere. And what we need to feel as individuals is that our data is safe, and more so that we trust those that have the data to do the right thing. To put some context around the scale of the problem, 58% of all data breaches in 2020 involve personal data. Consumers such as you and I over time are more and more aware of data privacy and the digital footprint we leave on the internet. And we're also more and more interested in how much of this data is publicly available and what it's being used for. This great map here shows that 129 out of 194 countries have put in place some sort of legislation to secure the protection of personal data and privacy rights, which gives a great indication of just how complex the subject is. Organisations today are having to deal with many privacy requirements. Security is binary, which means data is either protected or it's not, whereas privacy is a much greyer area. It's about handling data in compliant ways throughout the data lifecycle, from data collection to data storage, to data access, to data transfer, to data retention, and to deletion. And since privacy applies to the entire data lifecycle, organizations also have to deal with many privacy regulatory requirements. Some of the most notable ones would be, for example, data minimization or data hoarding. Organizations should collect the minimum amount of data for the minimum time needed and keep it only for the purpose for which it was collected. Or another example is cross-border data transfers. Regulations such as GDPR here in Europe or CCPA in the United States have requirements to ensure that private data is not being transferred across regions or indeed even across teams. For example, some organizations might have to comply with requirements to prevent data flow from even their sales to their marketing teams or from the accounts team to the technical teams. And they also could be subjected to preventing transfers between countries. And privacy legislation also has a huge impact on commerce, particularly for SMEs. As the Sunday Times stated on the 19th of September, for those of you not UK based or not familiar, the Sunday Times is a major UK newspaper. They stated that as a result of GDPR, 80% of The Economist's email distribution list was lost. Added to this, 48% of all e-commerce transactions are from repeat customers. So your current customer base may be your greatest asset as you deal with changes to privacy. These are just two of the examples of how granular and complicated privacy management can be. Many companies are still using extremely conventional methods to manage privacy requirements. They start by finding personal data in their environments, but the majority of them do this purely for the use of record keeping. Once they find the data, they don't have the context, they don't know what actions they should or shouldn't be able to take as a result of looking at the data inventory. Added to this, most companies are also still using survey-based methods, where they reach out to different teams, maybe marketing, maybe sales, to understand what kind of personal data these teams are collecting. And then they use it just to maintain a point-in-time inventory, which obviously isn't very efficient. And if you're only doing it at a point in time, then you've got a huge blind spot at the periods between your inventory collection points. But if this is the conventional way, you're probably asking yourselves, what is the way that we would suggest? Well, in the subsequent sessions, we're going to discuss tools that can help you manage privacy, as you can't do this without tools, or you can only prepare to a point without tools. In the old days, personal information was written on a file and put in a filing cabinet. Nowadays, in the blink of an eye, it's everywhere, and that is something you need to manage. And Privacy Manager not only helps you protect your data, but also you need to understand what is happening and what is causing the privacy issue. And hence being, to my earlier point, proactive as well as reactive by understanding what is going on. The second part of today's session will cover Azure Purview, which is part of Microsoft's multi-cloud data governance solution. And Purview expands our governance story from structured data, such as files, into unstructured data held in databases. This slide here shows the elements of successful data governance. All companies are having to manage an increasing number of databases, which they themselves are also rapidly increasing in size. And as we all know here in security, attackers don't work in silos, they choose the easiest route. Therefore, security, and critically data security, needs to be a cross-organizational role. And we're also not just talking about protecting the data here. In almost all cases, organizations don't have a current view on the data they hold. And if you don't have a view on the data you hold, then you can't begin to understand the value that it has for your business. Increasing visibility into what and where the data is stored will increase its business value as it becomes more agile in the workplace. And as we mentioned earlier with GDPR and CCPA, organizations are also subject to thousands of regulations which are forever being refined and updated. Helping organizations understand and implement elements of a successful data governance is another key area where you, our partners, can help. We'll be reaching out to you after today's session, but I'd really like for you to think today about the areas where you would like to engage with Microsoft around the compliance. And obviously we have saved the best till last in the session today, because the things that we are talking about are very new to the Microsoft compliance portfolio. I'd now like to hand over to Jim, who is a senior architect for compliance within the COE, to share more granular detail about the size and the scope of the partner opportunity. Thank you, Jim.
Great. Thank you, Catherine, for that introduction. As she had mentioned, my name is Jim Bannock, one of the compliance architects in the Microsoft 365 Center of Excellence. We're going to spend a few quick minutes here going over the potential opportunity for partners when you're working with Microsoft in security and compliance. So it's worth stating that security, compliance, and identity are the three pillars that Microsoft has a really strong foundation in. You don't get to be a $10 billion security business without having that world-class, multi-cloud, multi-platform security business. If you haven't thought of Microsoft as a leader in this business before, I think the numbers shown here really reflect our feelings that none of what we're doing here is an afterthought. We have now over 4,000 experts helping over 400,000 customers, and those experts are evaluating over 8 trillion signals daily. Microsoft is uniquely prepared to help our partners capitalize on this opportunity because the Microsoft Cloud is the only cloud that is built by a security vendor. Our approach to your security is to understand both the breadth and depth of your entire estate and look at everything going on end to end to help drive faster insights with greater accuracy using machine learning. Insight from our data and our researchers help your teams by protecting and staying on top of any new attacks in an efficient way, and through prevention, staying on top of that endless to-do list that makes compliance and attacks useless to begin with. Today, Microsoft has provided us the opportunities to drive managed services, leading to predictable, sustainable, profitable services revenues, and resilience in your business through a changing market landscape, all the while providing greater value and business transformation for our customers than ever before. These trends continued in 2020 and through 2021 are expected to continue into the future. In fact, security, compliance, and identity has increased by 38% since launch. We are also seeing that 84% of the per user amount for managed services and business solutions. Last year, our partners captured 13% per user per month revenue in service opportunities. For 2021, partners are reporting over a $24 per user per month increase with 85% year-over-year increase for modern work and security solutions. And for partners with an additional focus on cloud security, they are now receiving over $30 per user per month in services revenue, which increases the growth opportunity of over 130% year-over-year when you combine the modern work security with the cloud security solutions in Azure. This is an incredible opportunity and growth partners can take advantage of when developing and offering Microsoft security services. Further break out the opportunity and the solutions that make up Microsoft security, we can see that modern work security accounts for 40% of that entire $30 per user per month revenue pie. When we add in cloud security, identity, and compliance, each one of those adds another 20% to the partner's total opportunity for revenue around Microsoft security solutions. As we wrap up this section and get into all the primary content today, I wanted to take a slightly deeper look into the actual services opportunity from Forrester research this year. As of today, Forrester states that the gross margins for services today range from 25 to 80% from deployment, advisory, adoption, business solutions, and managed services. Of that $30 per user per month, the services that were the most common were managed services, business solutions, deployment, and adoption and change management. Partners are saying that the managed services business is becoming the new normal at many of their customers. With the ever-increasing complexity of vulnerabilities and solutions, companies are finding it harder to manage a full stack and to monitor the response to threats in-house, resulting in an increased attach rate for our managed services. All of this is really appealing to partners because it helps create recurring revenue, which helps inform those financial projections and increases the valuation when partners are looking to sell or expand their business. It also creates longer, more strategic relationships with their customers and often leads to identifying additional project opportunities as we're now coming at and talking to customers in more rooms of their house. So I want to thank you for this quick overview and the time today. We're going to talk some great things. Shilpa's up next. She's going to talk about what's going on in privacy management and walk through it. And I'll be back a little bit later to go over a demo of how to get started with privacy management. So thank you all very much and looking forward to talking more later today.